Hello and welcome to an odd video featuring an assortment of things with me. Now if you're just here for the giveaway, I get it, no worries. I'm going to go through that first and then we'll get into the rest of it. So if you want to enter, all you need to do is go over to Twitter and retweet this tweet here within the next 72 hours, which is when I'll be picking a winner. Now you don't have to be following me, but come on, you probably should, right? And if you win, I will buy you any game on Steam with a limit of $100 US, just so things don't get ridiculous. And to keep it simple, it's going to be one item, so no packs or game collections or anything like that. Just one item on Steam. No questions asked if you want to buy the new Honey Pop game. And that's it. So go over to Twitter, there's a link in the description, retweet this and I'll draw in 72 hours. And make sure your DMs are open on Twitter because I will DM you to say that you've won. And of course you'll need a Steam account if you want to receive the game, which I'll be gifting through there. And that's it, it's very simple. I would appreciate it if you stuck around for the rest of this video, but if not, I understand. Thanks for stopping by. Right, now that that's out of the way, let's get into a brief Q&A. And now I do apologise for those who asked questions probably 2 or 3 weeks ago now. I didn't expect it to take this long to actually make this video, but apologies, I'm going to answer them now. And afterwards I will do a brief update on the channel and what I've got planned for the future in 2021 and beyond. So let's get some gameplay up on screen and start going through these questions. Alright, let's go. Right, okay, here we are, time to go through some questions. So starting with this one from the Kenji2221. Do you have an RTS that you really like but don't want to play alone? Similarly, do you have games or game categories that interest you but don't know where or how to start? Here's a really good question. So I'll start with the first one. So an RTS that you really like but don't want to play alone. For me, that's probably Sins of a Solar Empire at this stage. So I love that game. It's probably my favourite RTS of all time. I think I've been on a record saying that. And while I did used to play that single player, I've got a mate who, if he's listening, he knows who he is. And if we're going to play that game, we are basically always playing it together. And if I was going to play it by myself now, I think it would just feel a little weird. So yeah, Sins of the Solar Empire, check it out if you haven't, it's great. And for the second part of the question, do you have games or game categories that interest you but don't know where to start? So it's not like where I don't know where, it's probably that I just don't have the time to do so. So for me, it's probably military simulation games I would really like to play more of. Specifically games like Arma, and then a bit more into the sim space like DCS World and kind of more flight simmy kind of games. I would love to play more of those, but frankly I don't have the time or the discipline to learn them, let's say. Next question from Jeremy Elgood, channel subscriber by the way, what a lad. Is there anyone else you would personally like to interview for the channel, and is that something you'd like to do? I'm assuming it means continue to do, as I've done it a little bit in the past. Yeah, so I'll give 2. So it is something I'd like to continue to do, and I know in the last year or so I've been pretty slack at it, so I do want to kind of try and pick that up more. I would love to interview Joseph Kukin from CNC fame, but not actually why you would think. So I don't actually want to interview him about playing Kane. I want to interview him as the kind of director and producer of the cutscenes and FMV video for the Red Alert and Command & Conquer series. And that is something I'm going to try and do, so fingers crossed. I'd love, not to anyone specifically, but I'd love to interview a YouTuber who does similar stuff to me but makes really long videos. Someone like Joseph Anderson or even Mandalore to an extent. And just kind of, I'd like to spend a bit of time talking about the process, I just find that really interesting personally, and I think there will be a lot of people out there who would find that interesting to listen to as well. So, the process that goes into making these incredibly long videos and how much time really goes into it. So I would find that very interesting. Next question from Kadir San. How does anyone get better at any RTS game without being sick of getting destroyed? Practice, and it's kind of just one of those things, like anything really, you're going to suck at it until you play it a lot. If you don't want to get destroyed in PvP, just practice against the AI, or do like 2v2s with a friend who's better than you, and try and get them to teach you some skills. Next question from a name I'm going to really butcher, so I'm incredibly sorry. I'm just going to do the first name. I'm going to say it's Casper. What would be your ideal RTS? So what would you mix in? What would you mix together, or would you do something completely original? To be honest, if I was going to make my own RTS, I would probably do something Supreme Commander-like, mixed with Sins of the Solar Empire. So kind of something quite grand in scale, but also with kind of granular details and ways to kind of upgrade like a primary unit, something like the ACU and Supreme Commander. So imagine if you could get like capital ships from Sins of the Solar Empire, but then upgrade them with kind of hard points and special weapons and stuff. That would be pretty cool. Also, it's not really an RTS, but it is a strategy. I would love to make like an XCOM style Pacific Rim game. I know that's really niche, but that would be pretty dope. And yeah, that would probably be my number one if we're just talking strategy. Next from Unta, are you a cat or dog person? Cat 100%, hate dogs, love cats. This from Icon the 7, do you like sci-fi or fantasy RTS games, and which is your favourite setting? This is personally sci-fi. My favourite RTS setting, probably sci-fi. Again, like Sins of the Solar Empire, Homeworld, that kind of stuff. But if I didn't say sci-fi, it would probably then be like medieval, realistic, based in history, and then fantasy probably after that. Alternate history, though, I do have kind of a soft spot for. So like Impossible Creatures, for example. Or like an alternate history World War II, like Company of Heroes 3, you know? Like that would be pretty sick. Next one from Mars. How do you pick a topic for a video? That's a good question, and that's a question I would definitely ask another YouTuber if I was to interview them. Basically, I don't have a set way of picking. I have kind of a long list of videos I'd like to make, and usually I'll kind of have the next 4 videos kind of lined up. I'll then do all 4, run out, and then make a new list of the next 3 or 4 I'm going to make. So usually I'll just kind of piece that list together over maybe a couple of weeks. And then sometimes there's kind of a spur of the moment, just decide to do it. Like the video I'm doing right now is on a bunch of Empire at War mods. I just kind of wanted to do that, so I'll just drop that in there. But otherwise, yeah, usually I have a big list of them, and it's a mix of that and just kind of spontaneous videos, and of course, fan suggestions. So if there's a ton of comments for a specific video, then I will probably pivot to that. Or if there's any big games coming out, I'll obviously do my best to review them. This one from General F. Which Command & Conquer General's Rise of the Red unit do you like, design-wise? I have not played Rise of the Reds in a while. I'm trying to remember back, and I know it's not exactly a new unit, but I do still love the Spectre gunship. It's hard to turn away from that. Another question from Casper. Games you wanted to play but couldn't. License from publisher expired, or it being an old game. I'm not sure if I have one, to be honest. We kind of live in an age where it's very easy to play most games that have kind of existed and then not. I guess you would probably be... Yeah, okay, now I have an answer for this. So probably Star Wars Galaxies. So that's probably the one game where I would really like to play it. And I know I could now, there's kind of fan recreations and stuff, but I just feel like it wouldn't quite be the same. Maybe I should. But yeah, most of the time I feel like we can get our hands on old games some way or another. But yeah, Star Wars Galaxies. And the final question from General F. Which RTS should be recommended that's easy for new players and available to anyone? I would probably, if someone was saying I want to try an RTS game, what should I do? I would honestly say probably try like Age of Empires 2 Definitive. Because, you know, it's kind of that classic RTS formula, but it's, you know, been revamped and it's not as difficult to play as nowadays. And it's on Steam and all the rest of it. But yeah, probably Age of Empires 2 Definitive, or if they wanted kind of something more actiony, I'd probably point them towards Company of Heroes. Probably the first one, because I haven't played the second one and I feel like I can't really judge that. But yeah, one of those two would be where I would go with that one. Okay, so that's the end of the questions. Now I did just want to kind of talk about a few random things here. But anyway, thanks everyone for asking. I really hope I did answer them to your liking. Now, so this is the update section. So I started this channel nearly 3 years ago, which is kind of crazy to say. And it's been a really wild ride. It's kind of grown to the point where I never thought I'd reach this point. And that's all because of you guys who are listening. So thank you very, very much. Anyways, for 2021, there are a few keystone projects I'd like to tick off my list that have been sitting there for a while. There's also a few kind of experimental ones too. For the former, this year I'm planning to cover games like Company of Heroes 2 and Grey Goo, which are both highly requested in the comments, and I'm sorry it took so long for me to get to them. And I'm also looking to do my final entry in the series I've done on Red Alert, which will be a big video, that's for sure. And there'll probably be a bit of a dearth of content when I'm making that. I'm currently thinking how I'm going to avoid that. Maybe by making some smaller videos in between. Other possibilities for this year are Empire Earth, Homeworld, Age of Empires 3, Halo Wars 2, the list goes on, and there's no shortage of things to make videos on. And that's not to say I'll get to all of those, but I'll certainly try and get to some. And in the latter category, I'd like to move away specifically from RTS for some videos. Not because I don't like RTS anymore, of course that's still going to be my bread and butter, but I do want to branch out a little bit and try new things. And you know, if they completely flop, then I've got my contingency plan. But I hope you at least give them a shot and see what you think. I'd love to hear any feedback you have on them. The first non-RTS video I'll do this year will probably be on Command & Conquer Renegade, which I think is a fairly good bridging game between genres. And from there we'll see how it goes. Again, I really appreciate all you guys giving me the chance to do this, and I hope you'll stick with me as we try some new things this year. But don't worry, RTS isn't going anywhere. And lastly, I wanted to briefly talk about sponsorships, just to kinda say my piece on it. Last year was the first time I ever had a sponsor on the channel, and if you're watching this, you're possibly aware that recently I did a spot for none other than Raid Shadow Legends. Obviously, some people in the comments showed their disapproval, but here's my overarching view on sponsors. They help me create more and better videos, 100%. Whether that's by letting me allocate more time to something I know I will make a financial return on regardless of video performance, or by allowing me to purchase gear to support the creative process, or by funding a giveaway for you guys. One way or another, it's helping. And even then, I understand people don't like getting ads, I get it. So if I have a sponsor, I always make sure mid-rolls are off, and that's a trade I'm sure you guys would agree is worthwhile. It's far simpler to press the right arrow a few times through an ad than be forced to wait to skip a mid-roll. I try to make them entertaining too, and I want to push them towards the mini-film kind of direction, which I think would be pretty fun actually. So yeah, just wanted to get that out there for you guys. It's another giveaway. And look, I know a lot of people don't watch these channel update videos, and even fewer people stick around to the end. So this giveaway is for you guys who have stuck around, the real OGs, if you will. There's not going to be any links to this in the description, there's no comments, there's nothing on Twitter, this is just for you guys watching. So what you have to do, it's very simple. Just go to this Google form and put your Twitter username in the form. Submit it, and again, in 72 hours I will draw from those submissions. So you've got a much better chance of winning because there's probably not many people doing it. And like I said, there's no mention of this anywhere else, so it's just you guys. And yes, for those wondering, you can enter both, and if you win both, then so be it, you win both. So thanks a lot for sticking around, really appreciate it, and good luck. Alright guys, so that brings us to the end. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.